swim into a body near you. Hi friends, welcome to Funshine Fab Crochet. I am Kelsey and today we are making fish purses. I made a tiny little fish to hold my hand sanitizer and I was like, we gotta think bigger. I'm thinking whole bag. I only used 2 hook sizes to make this, and that was a 5mm and a 6.5mm. And the only stitches you'll need to know to make this are single crochet, a few half doubles for the tail, but if you don't know how to half double, you can just single crochet, and then slip stitches. She is that easy. I'll mention this again in a sec, but you don't have to use 2 strands to make the body. You can use 1, but it's going to change the shape and structure of your bag. So if you're not going to sew in a lining, which I don't because I use 2 strands, I recommend you use 2 strands of yarn. And the thickness of your yarn will, of course, affect the size of your bag. I used 2 thick yarns to make this one earlier today. And then I used a very thin one and a weight 4 to make this one that we're going to make here in just 1 second. And then at the end, I'll show you how to make the strap here. I will tell you the measurements to make a short strap and a crossbody strap. So if you want to make this little fishy purse, let's get started. Oh, and also if you want it to look like a mermaid tail, you don't have to add these little fins. You can just do this part. Okay, let's get started for real this time. Okay, to get this party started, I'm going to be going in with the loops and threads from Michaels. What's our color? Coral. This is also Loops and Threads brand, but I have lost the label somewhere along the way. This, I couldn't tell you what it is. Somebody gave this to me years ago, and I think it's from the 70s. It's also covered in dog hair. You don't have to make the body of this fish using 2 strands at the same time, but it does dramatically improve the structural integrity. You can put more weight in this than you could if it was just made with 1 strand of yarn all the way up. The first thing we are going to make though is the tail fin and the 2 fins that go on each side. The reason we're going to make these first and not last is because we sew them on as we go. I'm going to leave a little bit of a yarn tail because this is what we are going to use to weave the tail onto the body of the fish. I almost forgot to mention I am using a 5mm H8 hook for the fins. And I'm going to chain 11 times. After I've chained 11 times, I'm going to single crochet in the first 7 stitches. Then in those last 3 stitches, I'm going to slip stitch 3 times. Well, once in each stitch. Slip stitch, and slip stitch. Then I'm going to chain 1 and rotate. And I won't go into that very first loop because that would add an increase. But just that 1 loop on the top right there, not through both, I'm going to slip stitch in that first one. Just on that top loop again, I'm going to slip stitch again, and then just in that top loop, slip stitch a 3rd time. Still working in that front loop only, I'm going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That leaves us with this bit at the end, and there at the end I am going to go into both of those loops and single crochet. Then I'm going to chain 1, rotate, single crochet right into that first one right there, both loops, single crochet, and then front loop only in the next 6. Front loop, single crochet, front loop, and so on. And of course that leaves us with the slip stitches at the end. We're going to slip stitch in that first one, slip stitch in the second, and slip stitch in the third in that front loop only. Chain 1 and rotate. This row is going to be just a little bit different, but we are going to continue with starting with our 3 slip stitches in those first 3 stitches. Then in the next 4 stitches, we will single crochet as usual in that front loop only. 3 and 4. And then in these last 3 stitches, we will half double crochet. So yarn over, half double, and one more half double through both loops there at the end. Chain 1 and rotate. And we are going to go back to single crochet in through both loops on that first one, and then in the next 6 in that front loop only. Then of course 3 slip stitches, front loop only at the end there. Chain 1 and rotate. Slip stitch once, slip stitch twice, slip stitch 3 times. Still working in the front loop only. We are going to single crochet till the end of that row. And then of course in both loops at the end. Chain 1 and rotate. This is our last row. Single crochet through both loops, and then front loop only until we get to the last 3, where of course we slip stitch in the front loop only. And then again, you're going to leave a little tail about as long as that first one when you cut, like so. You can kind of pull on this fuller end and see how when this is attached to the, I don't know, butt of the fish, it looks like a little tail. I'm going to use the same color. You can use, of course, whatever color you want. The tails on this one don't matter as much because we will be single crocheting these side fins on, but do leave enough that you can weave them in, of course. I'm going to chain 9 times. And then in the first 5 stitches, I'm going to single crochet. And then in those last 3, just like before, I'm going to slip stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 and rotate. Just like before, front loop only. I'm gonna slip stitch in the first one, slip stitch in the second, slip stitch in the third stitch, and then single crochet in that front loop only until the last stitch, where I will single crochet into both loops instead of just the front loop only. Chain 1 and rotate. And in this row, you are gonna half double into both loops on that first stitch, half double in the front loop only on the second, and then half double in the front loop only on the third, and then you're gonna single crochet front loop only and single crochet front loop only, and then slip stitch in your last 3 stitches, front loop only, chain 1 and rotate. Start with our 3 slip stitches. This never changes. Front loop only, and then single crochets to the end. Don't forget to go into both loops at the end with your single crochet. And then last row, chain 1, rotate, both loops, single crochets until you get to your last 3 stitches, where you will slip stitch once in each front loop only. So that is that. You need to make 2 of these, 1 for each side of the fish. Now we have a tail fin and 2 side fins. So let's get started on the body yaddy yaddy of the fish. You may want to use a larger hook if you're using 2 thicker yarns than this, but I am using a 6.5mm K 10.5 hook. And you can start with a magic ring if you wish. I am the type to chain and then slip stitch it together to create a circle. So that is what we are going to do now by chaining 4. Oh, let me get them scissors out of there. After I have chained 4, I'm going to slip stitch into that first chain. And then into the center of this ring, I'm going to single crochet 10 times. Pull that tail tight once you have 10 stitches. Then we're going to chain 1 and rotate. In that first stitch, I'm going to single crochet once. The next stitch, I'm going to single crochet twice. Next stitch, I will single crochet once. I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way around if my yarn will cooperate. Basically adding an increase by single crocheting twice in every other stitch. I like to weave my ends in as I go, so I'm going to start doing some of that with that tail. But you can wait till the end if you prefer. Now, before I get too far into this body yaddy yaddy, I like to take my little tail here and I line it up with where essentially the seam is going to be, where we start each row right here. This is not ultra important that it lines up perfectly, but I like to kind of just get it right there where it lines up with that. And I will pull each of these strands through where they line up. Whoops. Like that. And then I will, using just one little loop on the end there, I'll just kind of pull those strands back through for each one. This really doesn't have to be perfect. And then straight through the center, whoops, that's not the center. Straight through the center, I will pull both those strands through, and I will kind of tie them up and weave them in. So that gets the tail attached before we get too far into it. And back to the fish bod, I'm gonna chain 1, rotate, and I'm just going to, as I go around, single crochet, but I'm going to add 3 increases pretty much anywhere you want in this row. Now basically for the next 13 rows, which will bring us to a grand total of 16 rows when we get there, I'm just going to add 2 increases in each row. Every row is going to be single crochet. You can add the increases wherever you want. I just don't recommend adding them on top of each other in the same stitch row after row after row, because it'll get kind of lumpy eventually. But I will see you back in 13 rows. Don't forget to add 2 increases per row. Okay, and here we are back with 16 body rows. Yours should be looking a little something like this. And for row 17, all we are going to do is chain 1, rotate, and then count as we go around doing single crochets, 1 in each stitch. I'll tell you as we get started here that the goal is to be around 45 stitches. I think we'll be at 44 if you added 2 in every row, but let's count and see. And as I'm getting to the end here, this is my 44th stitch. I'm just going to add 1 increase right there, so we are at 45 stitches. That is the goal for about the size I want. If you want to go bigger, then you can keep adding 1 increase per row as we go forward here, and that'll make your fish just a little bit bigger. This is about the size I want. This is big enough to fit my checkbook size wallet, my phone, and my big key ring, plus little things like chapstick or lipstick. And that's really all I need space for. So for the next 2 rows here, I am going to chain 1 and rotate. But I will just be single crocheting once in each stitch. Like I said, if you want to make yours just a little bit bigger, you can add 1 or 2 increases in these next 3 rows as we go. After those 2 rows of single crochets with no increases, it's time to add the side fins in the next row. If you did add increases to make your fish bigger than this, you can keep adding rows. Also, I don't recommend increasing after this point. So to start this row, we will chain 1 and rotate. And the measurements will vary for everyone about where exactly you want your fin based on, tension and the size you're making your bag. I am not very particular about how it lines up. With this, or the center of the body this way. But I will tell you how many stitches I make before I start adding my fin. I just made 9 single crochets to get to this point. I'm going to show you how I attach the fin, and we'll see if it is in a placement that I like. I just act like I am about to make a single crochet and go into those loops right there. And before I pull up the yarn, I am just going to go through just kind of some corner loops on the edge of this fin. 1 loop, 2 loop, doesn't really matter. This is not an exact science. And then I essentially pull through all those loops and just single crochet. I'm going to do this 4 times across the top of each fin, and I am using the skinny part where we slip stitched rather than the fuller part at the top where we did single and some double or half double crochets. So again, I will just put my hook through those loops. I'll just kind of find another little loop here, and I will single crochet through everything. Through those, find a loop, pull through, and single crochet. 1 more time. Just kind of a loop on the corner, not particular, and then single crochet. Let me add a couple single crochets to see if I like where the fin is. I'm not very particular. I think I already said that about where the fins go on the side, because honestly it looks like a fish even if it doesn't line up with this one. I've learned this was my prototype, and originally I thought this fin would have to perfectly line up with the tail fin, but that's not true. It still looks like a fish. That placement looks good to me. So that was 9 single crochets when I started this, and then 4 across the top there. So I will count single crochets and tell you where I start my next spin. Yours may be different, again, because of, tension and, how big you made your bag, where you want your fin, that kind of vibe. But I will tell you how many stitches till I start my next one. Okay, I have made 17 single crochets since I started post fin here. So I'm gonna start crocheting this one on just like I did the last. Doesn't really matter where you stick your hook through as long as the loop is kind of at the end of the fin there. And there we go. I like that placement. Sometimes I pick up the bag here and see if the fins are kind of even. That's probably the most even I've ever made them, because you don't really see the fish from this angle. I mean, I guess unless you're looking down into your bag, but it doesn't really matter to me if they're even, because the purse is always going to be this way or this way. So you really only see, one side of the fish. Anywho, I'm going to finish this row with single crochets, but as I get to the end here, not the last 2 loops, but close, I am going to back loop only, decrease by single crocheting 2 stitches together. And then just a couple more single crochets and then slip stitch to complete the row. Before I go any further, I am going to weave in these ends by just pulling them through whatever hole they're closest to here. Kind of just weave them closer together so that I can tie them. I'm sure if you've made it this far, you know how to weave in your ends, but I'll just show you how I do mine. I pull it kind of tight, even though I think this fin is pretty secure being crocheted on. I'm gonna tie it a few times. And then I just kind of run it straight down into the bag so that it's not super obvious, you know, when you're looking into the bag. And then I just give it a little snip. And once we've got those little fins attached and their ends weaved in, for the next 5 rows, we are going to, of course, chain 1 and rotate. We're going to single crochet in every row, and the only difference is we are going to decrease twice in each row. So, of course, you decrease by going front loop only. On this one, you'll do back loop, of course, if you're working from the inside of the fish. And then front loop only again, like this, and then slip stitch it all, single crochet it all together. But yeah, for the next 5 rows, single crochet only. Don't forget to decrease twice in every row. And I'll see you back in a sec. And here I am back after those 5 rows of decreases. Sorry, 5 rows of decreasing twice in every row. I am going to switch back to my 5mm hook here. But I am going to use the blue color that I used to make the fins, which means I am going to cut those yarns here. I'll just be using 1 strand for this. It'll probably stretch a little in time, but I don't really care about just the top stretching. Gonna rotate, and I'm gonna start by slip stitching to the left of that tail. This does matter in a bit. Chain 1, and I'm gonna single crochet in every stitch all the way around 1 time, and I'm gonna do that for 2 rows. If you like tutorials or any kind of chill, chit chat, and crochet with me or craft with me videos, you should consider subscribing to my channel, because that's exactly what I post. The whole concept of my channel is I will show you how I make something, but I want you to feel free to go wild and make your own version of it. Like this fish, you could do, you know, stripes. You could make it longer. You could make a head with an eye by sewing on a button, you know, anything you want. I like to think my channel could get the creative juices flowing. But yeah, I came up with the concept of this fish yesterday, and I made that first kind of blue and green one yesterday, and then I made the other one, the pink and yellow, this morning, just so I could remember for sure how I made it, so I could explain it to you with this third one. I don't use patterns. That is the whole vibe of my channel. I guess there's a pattern in my mind, but you know, no written patterns. I don't steal anyone else's work. But the point of my channel is to show you that you can do that too. You can take my, I guess, patterns and do whatever you want with them. Now I'm gonna add the strap. 2 different strap options here. This one is like a little handbag. It's like just big enough to throw over my shoulder. And I achieve this by chaining 62 times. So if you want a little bag like that, chain 62 times. If you want a crossbody bag, which is what I did with this one, big long strap there. For this one, I chained 85 times. Of course, every body is different, so you will just have to measure it to yourself. I think I'll make this one a crossbody bag also, so I am going to chain 85 times. And then I will take the bag, making sure this is slightly off to the right of that edge, and pinching it. Line it up to where hopefully you have about 2 stitches that are kind of in the middle there, and I will go in the one to the right, and I'm just going to slip stitch. After I have slip stitched, I am going to slip stitch again in the next chain to the left, or I mean the next single crochet to the left there, and then I'm going to rotate and I'm going to slip stitch in the back of this chain all the way up to where I started. If you want this to be thicker, you can of course single crochet, half double. I like the strap to be pretty thin, so I'm a slip stitch girl. And of course, if you are making the handbag version, the shoulder bag, you will do all this exact same stuff except with a chain of 62 instead of 85. The beauty in making these chains super skinny is if you make it too long, you can just tie a knot at the top. And I think that goes with the casual fish bag vibe. Really cute. And then when I get to the end of my chain here, I'm just going to go to the single crochet to the left of where the chain started, and I am going to slip stitch. Then I'm going to cut my yarn. And I'm going to get to weaving that in, just like I did with the, why do I want to say flippers? What are these called? Fins. I'm going to tie all this together and just kind of weave it straight down, just so it's hidden to some degree. And with those ends all weaved in there, this is our finished product. A little crossbody fish bag. Swimming to a body near you. And that is all I have for today, friends. I appreciate you joining me on this fishy tutorial. Feel free to tag me. My Instagram handle is funshinefab, all one word, just like my YouTube name. If you make a fish bag, tag me. I want to see. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys soon.